Hello Gemini, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs. Welcome to my channel, Tarot by The Intuitive Teacup. We're going to read your tarot cards here today. Please come into this reading with an open heart and an open mind. A desire to maybe learn something or better yourself. If the messages that come through don't resonate for you, that's completely fine. Please do push them aside. Don't take action on anything that feels strange or foreign. Though you may want to revisit the messages at a later date, sometimes tarot makes more sense in the future. You are accountable and responsible for all your own actions and decisions. This is, of course, optional advice, guidance, and energy check-in. That being said, let's set the intention to have some fun and get you some helpful, insightful messages. What's up, Gemini? I'm happy to have you here. Love my Gemini squad. All right, so bottom of the deck is the Star. Wishes and dreams coming true. A time to align to your path in a more spiritual way. It is the card of Aquarius, which rules communities, large groups, friendship circles. So it is about expanding your network, knowing that there's a bigger world out there than maybe what you're experiencing right now. It's sort of, I don't know, to me, it's almost saying like, there's this zoom out perspective or a need to zoom out from your perspective, that just because what you're going through right now may be challenging or a struggle of some sort. It's eclipse season, right? So everybody's going through it. But with that, it's like things are going to get better with the Star. It's typically the Star of healing. So I think some of you may be being asked just to get away, to take a vacation from your problems, even if that's just mentally trying to separate them and have some sort of like safe space where you can just unplug and kind of forget they exist for a little bit, because trust me, they'll be there when you want to get back to it, right? But honoring your body, taking care of your health, things are changing. Things are changing in a big way, in ways you don't realize. I sort of see this as very like fortuitous, the hand of fate or destiny comes in. So anyway, I know I threw a lot at you there. We're going to hop into your reading and see how that connects, but this feels very positive. I like that very much. Let's see, the Four of Cups in the center of your spread. I sort of take this as deliberation, sort of needing to take time to, again, unplug and meditate on how you're going to take action, and really checking in with yourself about how am I feeling about this, when vessels, or it's in this deck, it's vessels and cups. We need to check in emotionally, and fours are not bad cards by any means. It's stable energy, but at what point does something that's stable become stagnant? That's where we kind of have to ask that question, because eventually the four leads to five, and fives are about like the shake-up, the change-up, the chaos, right? So here it's like we have the ability to sort of work through something that maybe we're a little bit emotionally bogged down with, and take the proper steps to heal, to channel our energy elsewhere, to South Node in Scorpio, to release what we don't need, to sort of, shed the snake skin, if you're going to go with me on this metaphor, right? Or we can sit with it. And especially if it's negative emotions, the longer we sit with it and let it fester, I've given you this metaphor before, right? It's like stale water. It's still water. It's stagnant. It starts to smell. It grows mold, right? So we got to freshen up that cup, and we got to get rid of, out with the old, in with the new, or out with the negative, what's heavy, what's bringing us down. We got to find some way to clear ourselves of that, whether it's doing something creative, writing, painting, poetry, whatever, whether it's doing something more spiritual and giving that energy to the universe and asking for healing, or just, not that you can't do it mentally, but it's sort of like coming up with some sort of mental plan to conquer the emotional feelings and what you're going to do with it. And sometimes that can be more of a challenge than we think it's going to. So Four of Cups. And then let's see, you have the Two of Pentacles. So again, decision making, which path am I going to go down? And then you have the Fool. So I don't mean for this to sound so simplistic, but there is like, am I going to stay where I am, or am I going to turn the page and start the new chapter? Am I going to commit to this person, place, thing a little bit longer? Or am I going to take fate into my own hands and try something new, try something different, try something alternative? The Fool is always about taking a leap of faith. I'm trying to see what your options are here. I'm just looking at these cards. Give me 1 second. I sort of feel in a small way that there's this feeling of trapped. not literally, right, for most of you, but it's like this, I'm stuck in a place and I don't really know how to get out of it. So, and with the Four of Cups, it's like, it's not bad, it's familiar, it's safe, but it's probably just not satisfying anymore. It's outgrown its usefulness, or your feelings about it have changed, but it's sort of either getting your head and your heart on the same page, or maybe it involves someone else, right? If this is romantic for you, maybe there isn't a mutual shared experience about, this thing, or, this happiness anymore. It's just kind of, it feels like it's stale. It needs some life incorporated back into it. We have to breathe some life into it again. Some of you, I just see you like very contemplative and soul searching this month. So let's see, for my Gemini risings, Scorpio rules your 6th house of work, which is interesting because I actually don't see a lot of work cards here. So maybe some of you truly are taking some time off, or getting away, or taking a vacation, or a mental health day. But to be honest, I see more of like a mental health week. I don't see a lot of pentacle energy or work cards. In fact, you don't have, your only major arcana is the Fool and the Star. So not too many and I'm sorry, the High Priestess, but not too many like career cards, at least in my opinion. Unless you're pursuing something in like spiritual healing or psychic healing, maybe, or something that would involve gathering large communities of people together, something even maybe in politics. Goodness, Gemini, this is a bit all over the place. I feel like I'm not doing this message justice, so... So the High Priestess to the Page of Swords to the Nine of Swords. The High Priestess is very spiritual. It's Cancerian energy, but it's feminine, it's receptive, it's more internal. Sometimes the High Priestess is the secret keeper. And to be honest, I feel like Gemini, you're kind of being shown as the secret keeper here. Like there's something that you're not coming forward with. And with Cancerian energy, the moon energy, also the Four of Cups, another Cancerian card. Cancer is a water sign, so it is heavily emotional. And we have to remember the moon changes phases constantly, right? Goes into a different sign every 2 days, right? So with that, I always like to kind of remind people that like the Cancerian energy of being that like crazy, unstable, emotional, whatever, yada, 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 that comes from a very real place because there is this fluctuating change and mood of the Cancerian energy. Because it's so tied to the universe, and the moon affects the tides, the moon affects water, the moon affects our emotions. So everybody is connected to the moon, but even more so this High Priestess energy. You might be feeling like highly emotional and highly sensitive at this time, but also highly psychic and highly in tune with things. But it's not always easy. There's going to be some moments of like emotional highs and emotional lows. And so take that in stride, quite literally she's holding the paddle, right? You're going to work your way through it, but there's something about this time where you may feel like you need to get away from groups, and you may need to get away from people, even if it sort of feels like you're being called to, there may even be something like a spiritual retreat. I don't know. I see you spending time in solitude that is actually quite healing and helpful for you. You may take time away from your partner. You may take almost like a mini vacation for you, especially like for my moms or dads out there. It might just be, it's not to say you don't love your kids, you don't love your husband, wife, whatever, but there's almost like this, I just need a week. I just need a week to get away and do me and do some soul searching. And I think your partner will honor that, but I also think that there's kind of this internal panic of what's going on. Like, Gemini isn't telling me what's going on in their head, and like, did I do something wrong? And yeah, that might even be your child feeling that way. And I'm going to say, like, I support you going off on this little soul searching thing. I think it's very much needed. And I think you're going to come back with a little bit more clarity, or at least just a little bit more, some more rested energy where you're not kind of constantly like vibrating and having that kind of mercurial 1,000 thoughts a minute. And how am I going to do this? And like, there's just kind of like this inhale and exhale quality to getting away. I do feel like there's a secret that Gemini is withholding from someone important in their life. And with Page of Swords, it's a sensitive topic or a sensitive conversation, and it might be with a husband or a, I'll say your partner, whether that's boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. It could be just someone you're casually dating. The Page of Swords, it's like, I want to approach this person the right way, but I don't really know how to. Page of Swords can also indicate sort of something that's a little bit immature as well, too. So I don't mean that offensively, but it's almost like there's a thought, but it's not fully hashed out yet. And because I think it's almost starting as like you're taking your cues from your emotions. And so with that, all the more reason to kind of sit with those emotions and process them, journal them, write them out, so that you can actually get together in get your words out in a coherent way where you understand what you're saying, and it will land with your person, at least with clarity. It might not be what they want to hear. There may be some news that you're wanting to share with them. But I see you being able to approach it in a more emotionally intelligent way by taking this time out for yourself. And I know that's not a reality for everyone out there, right? Sometimes we have jobs that we don't have the luxury of stepping away from. You need to be creative then. I hate to be rude, but there's almost like this, don't use that as an excuse then. You can take an hour off to go to the gym or to meditate or just take a drive in your car. Hire a babysitter, right? Even if it's just for like an hour or two so that you have that time. I think it would be incredibly valuable for you to devote and dedicate yourself in the coming weeks to spending some time in meditation or prayer or silence or in nature particularly, right? I mean, look at this deck, right? There's a reason why I chose it. Getting outside, whether it's raining, snowing, sunny, etc. It has to do with grounding yourself, being in nature, feeling your feet in the mud, in the dirt, in the water, on the pavement, on the gravel. You know what I'm saying? It's about connecting with something greater than you, with source, with spirit. Because I do see you yearning for answers and seeking guidance, but you're not putting yourself in a place to receive those messages from the divine. The universe is going to help you with this situation. It does feel romantic to me, guys. I hope that makes sense for some of you. But maybe it's a conversation you have to have with a family member, particularly a brother. I'm getting like male energy as the recipient of this. So whether you, Gemini, are male or female, for a lot of you, it's like there's a male on the receiving end of whoever you need to have this important discussion or debate with. And the nine of swords too says to me, you don't want to hurt them. It does sort of feel like if you make your thoughts known, if you express yourself, you definitely run the risk of isolating this person or isolating yourself. And there's a part of you that isn't ready to embrace that sort of ending, or it's almost like you don't want to come to regret it later and feel like you made a mistake. Goodness, Gemini, this feels really heavy. I'm not going to lie. Maybe this has to do with an Aquarius or a fellow air sign, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. It may have to do with a Cancerian. Yeah, those are the signs coming through the strongest right now. I think this really is about contemplating, your options. The Nine of Blades, the Nine of Swords, it's typically that card of that person who's awake in bed and they have so many thoughts and it's weighing heavily on them. It's a Mars energy, right? So it can be how our thought patterns are self-destructive. Sometimes just being in that energy of overthinking and thinking about it and we're up all night, it's like destructive to ourselves and our body and our health. For others of you, it's more the idea of the fear and the dread of this conversation is going to provoke them, right? It's an uncomfortable thing, and it's a little bit, it feels sharp. It feels like it could sting a little bit. And so there is sort of hesitancy on your part to even bring it up. But I also get the idea that you've swallowed this for so long. Like this is something that's been bothering you for long enough where it's never going to get better if you don't make a significant change. And just to comfort you guys in some way, the Fool energy says to me, just being able to express this and release it and get it up and out, it's going to be very cathartic. It doesn't mean it's going to be received beautifully and it's all going to be happy sunshine and rainbows, but you already know that, or else you would have already addressed the situation. But I think it's going to feel like a weight is lifted, and ultimately, I just get the impression that once you say your piece and how you feel, I don't know if you're giving an ultimatum or you're breaking up with someone or you're asking them to do more, to participate, there's some sort of like either negotiation or this is what I need. Whatever the situation is, Gemini, it's going to feel incredible for you to no longer be the keeper of that secret or holding it down or holding it back. It's going to feel like choirs of angels singing, just the mere fact that you address this person. And honestly, sort of a reason to celebrate in that you went through with something that made you very uncomfortable. It made you very uneasy, but you faced your fears and you stepped up and you did it because you knew it was the right thing to do, because you were considering this person's emotions with the high priestess energy and your willingness and ability to express your own emotional needs. I'll be honest, for some of you, this could be the idea of needing to confess to your person that you may have acted out of line. You know, maybe you caught feelings for someone else and acted on that, and you don't necessarily want to jeopardize the relationship you're in now, but you feel like you owe it to your person to speak that truth. That very much encapsulates what I'm feeling here. And I'm not saying that's true for all of you, but I think that gives you a very good idea of this do I or don't I, and sort of this mental prison of thoughts of just like, I don't know what to do and how am I going to get out of this, and if I say this they could leave me, and if I don't say it it's going to eat away at me, and I'm not being honest. Like very Gemini, right? Like I just threw like 9 different sentences at you, right? That's what I'm feeling with this. And so in some way releasing this to the universe is the way to go. I think the majority of you are going to address your person, and I know immediately I can already feel you guys going, well, how are they going to react? Like, how is it going to go? I'm going to be super honest with you guys. Earmuffs if you're not ready to hear this. I think this is something that has been fated to come to an end for a long time, and it was just very delayed because possibly both people didn't want to address the elephant in the room. Because 4 of Cups, right? It was familiar. It was comfortable. Why take risks when we don't need to? We have each other. We have, we have children. We have property. We have things mutual in common. We live together, whatever it is. It's easier just to stay in it because it's what we know, but it doesn't mean our heart is in it anymore. And so ultimately we're doing each other a disservice by pretending that we're still invested in this emotionally when we haven't been for possibly years. That's honestly what I'm getting from this. And so for those who are like, if you do resonate with the idea of, I cheated on my partner and I have to come forward and tell them, or maybe this is vice versa, right? I don't know. 9 of Swords, is it repairable? Maybe, but I think the Fool energy says some of you didn't even consider the fact that maybe this was all meant to be. I'm not at all endorsing the idea of cheating on your partner, but maybe things happened in such a way where if and when this relationship does come to an end, because you never considered the idea of actually leaving your person, when you do, you're like, and I don't mean to be insensitive, but like, it's almost like this, oh my gosh, like, why didn't I do this years ago? Like, this has completely upgraded my life and sort of my headspace and my goals and who I want to be. I don't know if some of you felt like you had to sacrifice things for your partner, or by being with this person, it sort of changed facets of your personality. And it's not to say that you were always depressed or miserable. It was a different lifestyle, and there was something in you that was yearning for more. So that's my honest opinion of this. I think a majority of you, there's something coming to a head. Again, eclipse season is doing its thing, where something long overdue needs to be addressed. And for a majority of you, the quote unquote outcome is freedom. That's what I would say in a nutshell here. This is a tricky message, right? Because I can only tell you what I see in the cards, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I am morally on board with what happened. But at the same time, shit happens. And I'm not here to judge anyone or anything, right? I'm trying to be non-biased here. I do see the potential for some of you, if you did engage in third-party stuff, that you may leave your current person, connection, the one that was more solidified. You may end up leaving a formal relationship in order to be with this, I will say, newer person. However, I would just caution you, and there's nothing, I say there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, do with that as you will. I'm not here to comment on that. If you do choose to pursue, this other person, it does feel like right now there's a very strong sexual connection there, but it needs to be a little bit more than that in order for it to thrive, right? I think some of you are just so relieved to have this other outlet or this like sexual awakening again. That's how I would describe it. Because something here got very old, very routine, very predictable, and I just, to be honest, it was like it just didn't light your fire. It feels like a flop. It feels like the passion and the sex just weren't there. So for some of you, there could be a new air sign, a Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, where again there is that strong focus on sexuality and pleasure and passion. And I don't know, this Two of Swords actually seems really nice to me. There could be quite an age difference between you guys. This is so funny. When your personal life drips into this, it's quaint. One of my good friends is a Gemini. One of my best friends is a Gemini, and he is interested in someone who is significantly younger, and it's been something we talk about a lot. Just like, well, it's like, don't judge a book by its cover. You never know. It's fine. He's not watching this anyway. I just saw that. I'm like, oh, that checks out. All right. Anyway, sorry. Refocusing my energy. But I do see that. There might be a significant age difference in a relationship that involves maybe a fire sign, Aries, Leo, Sag, or an air sign, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Ain't nothing wrong with that, right? There's no judgment. I was just giggling because it like hit home. That message like made sense to me in a different way. Getting out there and doing something athletic. We talked about having that Mars energy. When you have that Mars and Gemini energy, that Nine of Swords, Nine of Blades, however you want to say it, that means it's like we have this extra energy. We have this extra like kinetic pulse in our system, and we have to do something with it, or else it's going to rear its ugly head in one way or another. So we may as well go out and, put the boxing gloves on and go to the gym, that type of energy. We may as well dance. We may as well shout. We may as well go rock climbing, do something creative or, artistic, right? Where you're doing something kind of sort of physical to exercise that kind of unsettled energy in you. Otherwise, it may come out in arguments, fights, bickering, simmering tempers, that kind of thing. Not a great use of Mars, but it is the planet of war, right? So with that, there may be sort of a battle on the horizon. And the thing is, that wouldn't be shocking to the Geminis who are resonating with this. You kind of sort of know that, right? All right. Ace of Wands to the King of Blades. Possibly something with an Aquarius. Two of Blades is Libra. Yeah, I'm going to say with what I said earlier. Air sign energy is coming through in terms of something brand new. I feel like I've already lost half my Geminis out there if you didn't resonate with the first story. But for those who are still around, single and looking, possibly something with an air sign, a Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Particularly, I don't know if this is a timestamp or it's when their birthday is, but I'm getting Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius energy for a lot of you. There could be a connection around that period. So that's going to be kind of late November into early to mid-February. That could be someone who has a birthday in those seasons. Or it could be a timestamp of when this kind of new relationship starts to come into your life. I don't see anything here to do with work and career. So to me, it doesn't mean there isn't going to be any of that, of course. It's just not your priority and your focus in Scorpio season, right? In the coming month or so. Yeah, you have big decisions to make that are requiring more immediacy, that are filling your headspace and taking your attention. This is about, quite literally the compass and the map. Where am I going to go from here, and what is life going to look like if I do make these changes? But I think before any of these changes happen, though it would be wise to consider it and have a game plan and a plan B or, an action plan, part of this is a little bit shrouded in mystery because there's a conversation that needs to happen and you don't know how that person's going to react. You don't know what feedback they're going to give or what they're going to say. So with that, there is this kind of malleability or flexibility in terms of, okay, well, what does this mean for me now? just to bring yourself to some sort of peace, I would tackle this conversation sooner than later. You can only sit and think about it for so long, where then again it turns into this Four of Cups where you're like, oh, it's safer if I don't. I'll just leave it alone. I just won't address it. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? What is that expression? Like, if you do something the same 1,000 times and expect new results, like, you're crazy, right? Like, something here has to change. Something here has to shift. And again, I'm not condoning behavior where you disobeyed the trust of your person, but I'm also a realist. I know that life is complicated and things sometimes happen, and we don't mean to be malicious or the enemy, but I feel like a lot of my Geminis are in a bit of a pickle. I will say to you guys, I think it's going to feel so good to get this off your chest. It will be like being released. It won't be this like lead weight around your leg, right? That you're just dragging around everywhere, because it feels very obvious and apparent to you, but your partner might be completely in the dark, or they just sense that you're distant and they don't understand why. And so it's like, yeah, give them clarity. If that's going to be your last gift to them, you may as well be open and honest about where you're at. Gemini, this was so heavy. Oh my God, I feel your energy, and I'm like, don't get me wrong, I signed up for it. I'm your tarot reader here, right? But it feels heavy and exhausting. Like, I feel for you, because it feels uncomfortable. Like, you don't just want to sit in this anymore. Oof, you got to take like a hot bath or a hot shower. You got to get rid of it in some way. That's good advice. All right, Gemini, thanks for tuning in today. I hope this helps some of you, even if it was just one or two of you. I hope it helped. That was my intention. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and I will see you very soon for more tarot. Bye, guys.